Okay,
well,
cool.
I'm going in the order in which we talked.
Earlier we said we were going to skip the news and then come back to the news. That's all right. We're going to come. No, that's fine. We're already on it.
All right.
Quick news stories. Sad day today. RadioShack has filed for bankruptcy, Chapter 11, after 94 freaking years being in business. RadioShack was one of those strange places where if you've been there in the past, let's say 15 years or so, you walk in and it's kind of a weird mix of people in there. Like, you're not exactly sure what people are there looking for. Like, apparently they sell cell phones and that sort of thing. But mainly I would only go to RadioShack if I was like in need of a specific little like adapter, like an audio cable or something like that. And Steve and I were talking about how just the niche technology that they really showcased a lot of was so niche that having little stores everywhere didn't make sense. Once the internet model got big and you could have a warehouse one place and advertise online and have a much larger inventory, just didn't make as much sense. So
yeah, I want to ask you.
Yes.
I never realized it's been around for 94 years. That's because I only ever gone there for like replacement capacitors, for instance. But like, okay, sorry, I just had to. I had to say that because I had no idea it's been around for 94 years.
It's also one of those companies that people were expecting to go under a while ago, and it's kind of an anomaly. It's like, how are they still in business? Like, so they're compared with Circuit City a lot, and they went under years and years ago. But this is not the end. Oh no, they filed for bankruptcy. There's a company that might be taking on a portion of their stores, like 2,400 of them, to keep them open.
Okay.
So there might still be some stores, and then there's also international holdings. There's RadioShacks in Mexico and Asia that are not part of this Chapter 11 filing. So maybe it'll still be around, but it's like if we want RadioShack from now, we're gonna have to go south of the border, go down to Mexico.
That's crazy.
Yeah, some of that RadioShack.
I'll just Google for the replacement. That's actually what I ended up doing anyways.
See, they don't have the good stuff, man. You gotta go to Mexico to get the good. The good adapters.
I'm thinking Taiwan for the stuff I need. But
okay. Yeah. So sorry, quick little note on RadioShack.
Yeah.
We knew thee well, but it's okay. There's lots of other options for you folks out there. The other news story that we had really quick. So this was I was catching a lot of buzz on Twitter about this week. This is an article that's posted about Google, Microsoft, and Amazon who pay AdBlock Plus fees to get their ads unblocked. My initial response to this was that's really stupid, because if I create a service called AdBlock Plus and it's meant to block ads, that's lame if they're just taking money from some big corporations to let only their ads through. It doesn't seem fair to the smaller corporations and that sort of thing. But I actually read the whole article, and AdBlock has had in place for quite a while a whitelist. So you can go in and edit the whitelist yourself. I'll be honest, I don't use AdBlock Plus.
Myself either.
I don't think I ever have had it. But they have a whitelist service, and the CEO of the company in the article is saying, well, this is actually something we've talked about pretty widely since 2011. So it's been known. And then also the other flip side to this is that there's a lot of free stuff on the internet. And like YouTube is a good example, Twitch is a good example, and most of these are enabled by ads. So whereas I do think it's not necessarily right if just a small handful of corporations can get their ads through this service, at the same time the whitelisting does seem to have some necessity there, because if you want to see free content, it's going to have to be paid for somehow, and usually advertising is the way that happens.
I find it funny. So basically, AdBlock Plus needs ads to stay in business. They're basically selling. That's basically what an ad is, right? You're selling the rights to show something. So they're selling the right for Google or Amazon or Microsoft to show their ads. Is that what's happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you what the take that AdBlock will, like the statement they make in here is basically that, look, we're not trying to block all ads. And whereas you might have had that impression, install AdBlock and then you'll never see any ads as you're browsing the internet or whatever.
Maybe it's just me. That's what I was thinking.
That's not really the case. And what they're saying here is what they're really trying to do is cultivate good ads. And based on my prior statement that yes, we do need some kind of advertisement built in, at least in the current model of the internet, in order to provide free services that we all enjoy. You know, watch a brief ad before a YouTube video or that sort of thing. And I'm cool with that. And whereas I get a little into the gray area when they say, oh, we want to make ads that are good for you, because I typically don't I don't pay much attention to ads. Like I don't think I've ever clicked a banner or bought anything off of it or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I train myself to ignore them too.
So if what they're trying to do is cultivate good ads that are transparent, that's one thing they talk about. They should be obvious to you that it is an ad, not as something that pops up on a site that looks like, oh,
here's a story on that thing you really want to know.
part of the site, or stuff that modifies the website, like the ads that pop up and take up all the page, or that move the article down or something. So right as you go to click on it, like you click on the ad right as it pops up, like that type of thing. I don't think anyone really appreciates. It's just annoying. So there is two sides to this story. My initial response was like, oh, better find a replacement for AdBlock Plus. But after reading the article, I actually felt like, well, I kind of understand it. And granted, this is a business too, so they have to make some money. So I hope I'm not being too much of an apologist for this. But like the dude said, they've been pretty open with this policy since 2011 and how they do it. So it's gray area, but
now you
that's
know.
another thing is I've never used AdBlock Plus. All I've done is told people, please turn it off if you're going to watch my YouTube channel or that sort of thing.
It's understandable,
because
man.
ads support the people who create the content.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but anyway,
for
if
good
you
reason.
do use AdBlock Plus, you can go into the settings and you can make some adjustments to these things, and you can really tailor it to your needs and that sort of thing. Or so I've read, because like I said, I haven't used it. But that's just something to do. All right, those are our news articles. We're gonna dive right into hardware next.
Woohoo! Hardware.
I'm excited about hardware.
Take a drink of water, man. Take a drink of water.
I'm trying to keep the
Hydrated.
juices flowing.
So this next story that you have here, Paul, is from Hexus, and it's about AMD adding the finishing touches to the Radeon 300 series.
Exactly.
Which sounds pretty exciting.
So this is the finishing touches thing. Is like, it's one of those articles that I read where I read the article and I was like, this article. And multiple sources have articles on this. It's all derived from like this one forum post that this guy did in, I can't even remember where it was.
Nice.
But it's like someone was in a forum complaining about the 970 and saying, hey, is the 300 series going to be out?
And War Sam jumped in. He was like, hey, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Everything's cool. We're putting on the finishing touches.
Yeah, but an AMD rep basically said, we're putting the finishing touches on it. We're finishing it off.
Nice.
This article on Hexus has some other things. So like, Lisa Su has already stated that the next generation APU and GPU products from AMD should be appearing in Q2.
Cool.
That's April, May, June. I had to do some figuring out there real quick. But there's other cool stuff. I mean, these are some ongoing leaks. So like one thing that I saw here, which I didn't catch when it first came out, which was back in November, is there's a benchmarks link. And these were some like really, really early leaked benchmarks that went out. Again, this is back from November, so a lot of you guys might have already seen this. And this is the card that they're showing just has Captain Jack as its code name there. This is Pirate Islands, by the way, is the series. I have to appreciate AMD's naming conventions, their code names for their GPUs.
They put a lot of effort into it.
Well, I was going to say, if nothing else, I was able to go to Hawaii for their Hawaii launch event last year, so that was pretty cool. But now what they're dealing with is Pirate Islands. That's the code name, and the one here in this article is codenamed Captain Jack, which that's also kind of funny. If anyone from AMD is watching, do you guys have fun kind of doing this? Like, oh, it's Pirate Islands. Let's name each of the GPUs after a famous pirate. Because that would be cool.
I do. I love that idea. Yeah.
I like code names. I like coming up with fancy names for things and stuff like that. So
cool.
This already is, again, this is from November. This is old. This is unfounded. But the Captain Jack, like the power requirements here, they're saying it was drawing 197 watts as compared to about 280 for the 290X, and also keeping it underneath the draw of. Not under the draw of the 970 and 980, but still a lot more in line with those from a power draw standpoint. So we're hoping for better power or less power requirements. Of course, we're hoping for great performance. Actually, if you scroll up here to this one,
the actual chart, my bad.
That one. So all of the red lines up there, those are all 2-card configurations. The black line there is the Captain Jack one, and they're saying 65.6 frames per second. This is
1440.
What is this?
What game is that?
Oh, this is one of those group ones. They tested
they
all
just
the
run 'em
games
all,
and then they give
add 'em all up.
a massive accumulative FPS score. But anyway, that's from November. Let's move on from that.
Yeah.
The other speculation right now is people aren't really sure what manufacturing process this is going to be on. I've heard talk of 24 nanometer and 20 nanometer.
Cool.
Right now, Maxwell, for instance, on NVIDIA's side is still on 32 nanometer, but they ran into some pretty major
physical limitations of the
limitations. Yeah, when they're trying to move down to the smaller process node. So that's still up in the air, and people aren't really sure what's going on there. But 390X has been talked about, 380X has been talked about, and all week, apart from all these kind of rumors and things, all I can say is soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
If they can line it up for GTA, when is GTA 5? It's in March, right?
Yeah, I'd have to double check that.
I have to look at it. If they could line it up for GTA 5, that would be a brilliant launch plan for that, because GTA, I mean, now I'm starting to talk about GTA 5 and I just got all wistful. You remember a year and a half ago when GTA 5 came out and we were like, yeah, it's probably going to be out on PC soon. Probably by holidays. They're totally going to do that.
March 24th, according to Steam.
So, yeah. They still got a month and a half, or a little bit more to do that. That'd be, I mean, anytime you can launch a GPU with a very highly desirable game that requires a decent amount of graphics horsepower, that's like your bread and butter right there as a GPU manufacturer. But yeah, so there's a little bit of news on hopefully the new AMD 300 series, Pirate Islands GPUs.
Awesome.
I'm hoping they're sweet, and I'm hoping they will continue to oh, sorry, people are tweeting the wrong Pauls. Guys, don't tweet Paul's Hardware. They're an Ace Hardware store in Arizona. Unless you need hardware.
Yeah, unless you really like Ace Hardware.
Unless you live in Arizona and you need some wood or something like that. I don't know. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, anyway.
Tweet our stream one more time.
So the next time, or the next story I should say, Europe actually again. This is retelling of the Skylake covers that we did on, or I should say Jenny and Kyle did on Yoked, if I'm not mistaken, right, Paul?
What? Sorry, what?
Sorry, Skylake specifications?
Skylake, yes.
Yeah, specifications.
So I just wanted to discuss this a little bit more. So this was already, if you guys watched Yoked this week on Wednesday, this was a story dropped earlier this week. And
Jenny wrote this up, yeah.
This type of thing doesn't usually come out unless Intel has okayed it to some degree. This seems pretty early for me, actually, for 100 series, especially since they haven't fully pushed out all of their Broadwell SKUs yet. But still very interesting, and it kind of gives you an idea of what Intel's looking towards for the next gen. We don't see... one thing I like to point out is it is socketed. Thank God. no, like, hey, here's our full BGA lineup for
buy the motherboard
and
the CPU.
Yeah, so good work, all of you guys out there, for continuing to build your own computers and DIY stuff, because the market has shrank for folks building their own computers, but I don't think it's going to keep shrinking. I think it's just going to be a little bit more niche than it once was. But it's good to know that Intel is still supporting this. So we have a socket 1151, and yes, folks, it's not going to be backwards compatible again. They're doing a socket update, but LG 1150 has been around for a couple of years, and that's been about the lifespan of their mainstream platforms, which is okay by me. LG 1151 is a socket. And then we have a new naming convention for the series. Now we've had 7 series, 8 series, 9 series for the I said chipsets was what I meant to say.
Yeah.
We've had 7 series, 8 series, and 9 series. And now we have 100 series. This is confusing to me, Intel. I'm sorry. They put the 7 in the wrong place, right? So we've had... Yeah. So if you just figure your 7s, so you've had P67, Z87,
Z77, Z87, yeah.
I'm sorry, P67. No, we had the 68. That was an anomaly in there.
My bad.
All right, so we had Z77, we had Z87, we had Z97.
Yeah.
And the 7 was at the end of it. And there was 8 series, 9 series, and granted that would have been 80 series and 90 series, but now we have the 100 series, but the 7's in the wrong place. So the only chipset that most of us are going to be interested in is Z170.
At least they kept the Z's. So
they did keep to the Z's. We've still got a Z and an H and a Q and a B. So I don't know. I've been really Intel has really taught us how to read their specs and everything, but every once in a while I have somebody who's not really familiar with this. Even if they have a basic grasp of computers and they come in and look at a chipset layout or something and which motherboard to buy based on the chipset and what features are there and everything.
Right.
That's good Lord, that's confusing. So, yeah, Z170 is the chipset that we're all going to want. That is the only one that supports overclocking. So no other chipset can do it, which again is probably the reason why we're going to want it, because if you want overclock, you go with that. I'm sure there's going to be probably some H SKUs and even some B and Q SKUs that might be outliers for like budget systems. So that's a good option. We still have RAID 0, 5, 1, and 10 support, at least on the high-end SKUs. Oh yeah, sorry. Now the biggest feature of this is that they've added PCI Express lanes, or additional PCI Express lanes to the chipset.
Huge.
So on the CPU, you're still going to have your standard 16 lanes to communicate for your PCI Express expansion slots, typically graphics cards. The chipset is getting more dedicated lanes. They're getting 20 PCI Express Gen 3 lanes, which the article said effectively is 5 times the amount of bandwidth as before, because they're going from Gen 2 to Gen 3, but I don't know what they're comparing that back against. But what this is going to be a huge benefit for is peripheral connections. So the chipset is usually where your PCH or your peripheral controller hub lies on the motherboard, and that's usually your native built-in controller for all your storage. And that's usually, Intel has done a really good job with that. That's usually the go-to for like benchmarking storage arrays and that sort of thing. So having those additional PCI Express lanes, and then we're still not sure what they haven't talked about here is native support in the chipset for different connection standards. I mean, I have to assume there's going to be M.2 continuing along since they had that with Z97. Hopefully the NGFF will continue. What I'm looking for is more support for, what is it, the successor to AHCI. Why can't I remember that? It's solid state, for solid state.
NVMe.
No,
No.
you're right, NVMe.
Yeah, non-volatile.
Non-volatile memory express.
Express, yes.
Terminology
Ding ding, every once in a while,
okay,
brain
so
shakes up and I get something to come out.
what all this means is that hopefully we're going to see these Z170 motherboards with like, here's what I want. I want a Z170 motherboard where on the front you got all your CPU socket, and you got your memory slots, and you got your expansion, and you got all that good stuff on there. But then at the same time, they're talking over here. I'm just going to talk to you guys. At the same time, though, on the back of the board, you've got like 4 M.2 slots. Huh? I mean, maybe not on the back of the board. We need to really make much bigger CPU tray cutouts for that. But just somewhere like 4 M.2 slots where you just pop those on there, or maybe. I wonder if they can do an M.2 like expansion card, like a slot on the board. You pop it in, and then you could have an expansion card with a bunch of M.2 drives. All I know is I get excited when we have new storage technologies that come out, and especially when they're faster. And I think M.2 has a lot of potential. I have no idea what Steve's doing.
This might actually make us a little louder. Actually, I know it will.
Oh, were we quiet?
But, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
this
guys.
might actually be a little bit too loud, so
I hope
let me know.
I hope we don't get too loud.
Yeah, it seems like it might be a little bit much. But you guys let us know in the chat. And Paul, you can see. He says, wow, that's loud. So
it's loud now?
A little bit. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I see.
Okay.
I hear much better. Whoa, uber loudness. Holy ears. Of course, this is all from like a minute or so.
That can't happen. I'm using the same microphone input for everybody, so it's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably have my chin down. All right. Enough interruptions from this, guys. That should be pretty acceptable. But let us know if it's somehow not audible.
Hopefully we're okay. All right.
Yeah.
I hear people saying it's good now.
Okay.
Or I see. I don't hear. I see.
I see.
Hey, Pirate Hat just bought 2 GTX 980s. Nice.
Sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Nice job, man. Good call.
Dinghole says he's wearing headphones and his ears are fine.
Cool. All right. You guys are good. Should we do? Wait, did you finish on Skylake? I don't want to jump out of this.
I think that's about all. Oh, there's a follow-up story to Skylake,
okay,
which is the link right after that. So,
right. 10 nanometer.
Skylake. All right. So Skylake is the code name of the chipset, right? Or no, Skylake is the code name of the new CPUs that are going to go on those 100 series chipset motherboards. This is actually talking about Broadwell. Cool. which is 14 nanometer manufacturing process, which are going to offer better efficiency than the 22 nanometer Haswell chips that they replaced. And Broadwell we're expecting in Q2, I'm guessing around Computex time, is probably not too shabby of a guess. But this article is really quickly talking about the next die shrink to 10 nanometer.
Cool.
So Intel's Taha Khalifa told Gulf News that the first 10 nanometer processors are scheduled to launch in early 2017. So that's looking pretty far ahead since it's early 2015 right now. That's 2 years ahead. But I feel like there was something more interesting in here. 14 nanometer Cherry Trail. No, I think that was about it. Intel's working on 10 nanometer. I thought there was something like a little bit more substantial in there, but hey, early 2017, yeah, Skylake, 10 nanometer chips should be cool. All right, that's all we have to say about that.
Right on. All right. So I have a question for you guys before we start off on Q&Egg. And at this point, you can probably, we've already gotten a couple questions already, starting to fill the hopper here. So thank you guys for that, hitting me early on in Twitter, and Paul as well. But I want to share with you guys something that's kind of been thrown around the office, which is the subject of the ATEN HDMI Matrix Switch. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw this question to you guys. Jenny will throw the straw poll in there, and Paul, you probably could too if you like. Just so they have two different sources.
I know the number.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll figure it out.
It's in the notes. Put it in the notes. Just scroll down.
Oh, the notes.
Yes, the
Brilliant.
notes. The notes. Okay, so basically, bottom line is, did a video on the ATEN HDMI Matrix Switch, and
hold on though, Steve.
Okay.
What is an ATEN HDMI switch?
That's what I was gonna do, man. I was gonna tell him. So basically, that's okay. So basically, I did the video on an 8x8, which basically takes 8 different HDMI sources and then allows you to switch between them. It's very complex actually, but it can be used for a couple different scenarios. One is for multiple monitors to set up for a huge bank. So if you're a bank of monitors, an array of monitors, so that if you wanted to set up a large monitor, you could do that, or you could section them off into 2 or 4 or 3 at a time and create one monitor out of them. I don't think 3 really works unless you're lining them horizontally, but you get what I'm trying to say. So there's a 4x4 model and an 8x8 model. There have been some suggestions on what we might want to do a video on. I think you guys will probably be interested in something tutorial-based, which basically means you're going to want to learn something from the video. You may or may not intend on purchasing it, but you probably enjoy learning about it more often than you like to, say, a video that was entertaining and humorous, so like a commercial that was funny, let's say.
So you have a sort of unique product. It's a little bit more of a niche product.
Right.
It's probably not something for everyone out there.
No.
But so this is a question that I come up with a lot as well. It's like when I have something and I'm like, I feel like there's a video related to this product, whatever it happens to be, but you know, oftentimes if you make a video and you're like, here's a video, and the video is just the title of the product and it's kind of your general overview, some people will watch that, but often you want to make it a little bit more engaging or a little bit more useful for people, and that's where I think tutorials often help out, especially if it's like a longer term thing. Like if this is something that's going to be in use for a couple years, you know, people are going to use this as a solution for a common issue, then people come back for a tutorial video, you know, to see how it's put together or whatever. I think
I adopted that from you too, because I definitely see the value in something that's educational. I enjoy that. I enjoy learning about products too. So that's my basis of that. Or you might not even like the product at all, which is why I threw that there as well. Or if you just want a standard overview and you just want to see the facts, right? You just want to see the product, you want to hear about it, that's it. So I'm going to put my little vote in here and I'm going to check the results. So it looks like we're looking at 51% of people going that direction. Only about 50 votes right now. So I'm going to take the live information from this and accept that that's where it's at, but I'll leave this up and we'll put it in the YouTube notes as well.
See, now you've swayed the audience's opinion by showing them your vote, though.
Well, I guess I did, but I already explained that
the scientific study that we've embarked upon has been completely ruined. I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you guys for voting. You can continue to vote. So thank you very much for hearing me out on that. Now let's go ahead and ask
we have some cool.
Or answer some questions for them.
Some cool. What questions?
Oh, I'm saying we're doing Q&Egg. Yeah.
Oh,
so
Q&Egg.
we need to We need to do that real quick. Paul, if you want to try and pull some stuff up.
Ask us questions, everyone, and we will answer them to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
You can tweet me at Paul Hardware, not Paul's Hardware, and you can tweet Steve at Steve_OMG. Let's see. Oh wait, we have other.
You got something? I've got one that kind of was chilling since the beginning of the show.
Okay.
This is game related from Aaron Hunt. He just wants to know what our up and coming games that we're looking forward to the most in 2015 are. Man, I have not been researching any of the games that have been coming out right now, and I apologize for that. I'm totally unprepared for this question. I have been playing a bit of Dying Light. If I can tell you what I've been playing as opposed to what I want to play. Oh man, you know what though? As soon as I guess Evolve is probably another big one that's on the horizon that is coming out this year. So
I'm
I guess
excited
that's,
about Evolve. I
Yeah.
hope Evolve isn't one of those games that like people only play for the first month or two, and then it drops off. Although I think it has kind of that potential.
So I want to add to that point. I think that Evolve is going to be one of those games that if you don't get on day one and you don't start learning as soon as possible, or if you're not in the beta right now and you don't have a head start, you're not going to grasp the core mechanics of the game or whatever you need to learn about said dude fast enough or said character or said tune fast enough.
It'd be like me trying to break into League of Legends right now or
well,
something.
I don't want to say it's that bad.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's reel that in a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, I don't want to go overboard here.
So it is one of those things that I would recommend trying no matter what. If you have a friend that you can jump over on their system and play it, I would definitely say that because it is fun. I mean, jumping into it, it's very fun, but it can be very frustrating because if you're the monster and you lose, there's no one that's disappointed. In fact, 4 people on the other team are very excited. They just leveled up. But if you, being the monster, end up losing consistently, that's probably the only time you might feel like it's not worth it to you. But I don't really think that's going to happen. Also, with the advent of Steam streaming, you can grab a friend that knows how to play the game and stream just to them. And
cool.
yeah, and then they can walk you through kind of the process. And maybe that's what they're going for with coaching and Dota 2 stuff, maybe sometime in the future. I don't know. But yeah, I'd say if you don't get the game right away and you start learning it as quick as possible, the learning curve, man, like people smoked me in the beta really badly. And I was just like, I don't want to play this game anymore. And Nick from Game Crate's like, no, dude, come on, just sit down. I'm going to walk you through it. I'll give you all the tips and tricks. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I got through it, and a couple hours later, I felt a lot better about the game. But I really hate losing consistently, especially. So is that Rob? That's Rob rocking your shirt, bro.
I've got my shirt on.
That's awesome.
That's
nice.
awesome.
Loving the purples.
Good job, Rob.
Loving the purples.
That was beautiful.
I'm gonna open that up real quick.
You have excellent fashion sense.
That's awesome.
What's going on?
I'm just gonna grab that picture and kind of move it over so people can see it because I think it's funny and cool.
I didn't tell Steve to do this, by the way.
No, I just think, look at that. Look at that. Anyway, sorry. All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Moving right along. What's some other questions, man?
So Jarrett Deman or J_Deman on Twitter asked, what's both of our take on DirectX 12 and Mantle VRAM stacking?
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's 2 things. So DirectX 12 and Mantle.
Well, they're both adding VRAM stacking.
They're both adding VRAM stacking. In that case, Steve knows more about this than I do.
No,
so
I read a little bit. I was hoping you knew more. Okay.
It's funny because you brought this up, and this is one of the things I wanted to point out when we briefly talked about the 300 series earlier. Is that's one thing that is speculated that they're doing with it is doing VRAM stacking. So VRAM stacking, to my understanding thus far, is basically you take your GPU right there, you take the memory, which is usually scattered in an array around the GPU, and you put it right on top. Is that true?
I actually didn't realize that's what he was talking about, if that's what he's talking about, because these are both APIs. So I was thinking they were talking about stacking.
That's why I thought he was doing 2 different things.
Oh, okay, caught you. Okay, so yeah, we'll fill you in. You know what I'm talking about.
Now I know what you're talking about.
SLI or Crossfire, share the memory.
What I just said, what they might be doing with the 300 series, that is true and that is a thing. But this question's actually about something else. So DirectX 12 and Mantle have both just recently potentially maybe shown the capability with newer hardware and with newer drivers to allow each GPU to cross-communicate with the other GPU's memory, which means that whereas now if I take a 2 gig 960 and a 2 gig 960, I don't have 4 effective gigs of memory to access.
Right.
I have 2 on each card, and it needs to put the same information on both of those.
Right.
So what they're saying is that possibly there's a way where they could allow you, by adding another graphics card in an SLI configuration or a Crossfire X, I imagine it's the same, or Crossfire, I forgot they took the X off.
Because you're awesome and old school.
Would allow you to effectively stack up more RAM,
Right.
which would actually be really cool because it would sort of provide one with a more viable upgrade path. So this is pretty exciting. I mean, everything I read about it this week seemed fairly preliminary, and it was just kind of like spitballing, like, yeah, actually, theoretically, there's a way we could do that, thanks to DirectX 12 and Mantle being more like close to the.
I know, we always say close to the metal, and
close to the metal, is that the?
It's just that way of writing.
They're able to more efficiently take advantage of the processing capabilities that the GPU has.
Yeah, like the way I've always interpreted it is they're taking the wide variety of hardware out of the equation, cutting it closer to what they think all hardware can do, which brings up the possibility of incompatibility or crashes or other issues, but basically cutting it closer to what the hardware can do, and kind of taking those things and those warnings of having a stable, guaranteed connection versus a faster, better one, which is what Mantle initially did before DirectX 12, before Microsoft started to do that with DirectX 12, although I've heard that they were planning to do that either way.
I think it's an exciting prospect, and as the display and TV manufacturers continue to ramp up resolution, as we saw like 8K TV at CES this year and stuff like that, that's going to be, would make it a much more viable upgrade path for people thinking about, a simple solution, 1080 and a 960 right now, and then maybe upgrading to 4K and another 960 if it does give you twice as much memory.
I mean, I don't know how it would work, though, too. I mean, obviously, I don't literally know how it would work. I'm just saying, I'm wondering if the advantages are worth it, because it's going to have to go either through the bus, well, it has to go through the bus, pretty much, if it wants to transfer lots of information, and how much frame starter would that incur? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, they would never. I don't think they would ever actually roll something out like that unless they had dealt with the latency issue between the two GPUs to the point where it was either negligible or a very minor performance hit compared to the single card configuration. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more in that.
That'd be cool.
As they develop and as more of those GPUs come out, because that's pretty cool.
Cool.
All right. Wait, that was that one. Yeah, Dimitri Ali asked, is it worth buying a 750 Ti or save money for a 960? He's still using an 8800 GT, and he's got a 1080p monitor. Thank you for telling us your monitor resolution, Dimitri.
Yes.
Dimitru. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's very important for this question. I would say yes, save for the 960. I wouldn't get a 750 Ti at this point, just because even though it's still Maxwell, it's an older card. It doesn't have all of the. There are some new technologies even in the 960 that the 970 and 980 don't have. So it's just a newer card, and especially when you're talking about like a. I don't know how much the 750 Ti's are going for these days, but I'm guessing it's going to be something like a $50 price difference.
Yeah, and even if it is, man, it's worth saving up another month or two, just depending on your income, to get that. I always recommend that. If you can get a better single card, I mean, get that first one and get the right one, and you should be happy.
I would go 960, or if you're looking for a 960 alternative, 280X, if you can find a screaming deal on that one, because they do come down below $200 these days, is a good option too.
Yep.
You're going to be paying a little bit more on the power bill side with the 280X, but it will perform better than the 960.
It's never that big of a deal. I never really felt like it was ever that big of a deal.
The biggest difference I noticed with the power bill was when I jumped onto my first ever 80 plus power supply. Because I was in an apartment at the time. It was just me and a roommate, and I was paying the power bill, which I wasn't all that used to in the before then. And yeah, I upgraded I got an 80 plus bronze power supply that is still, it's an Enermax, what is it? Whatever, 82 plus.
Okay.
Bronze power supply still works. It's still in, actually, I forget what system it's in, but it's still in use. That's
nice.
So old. That was probably in like 2006.
Killing it, man.
That I got that power supply. So one of the examples of investing in a power supply, it's had such, I've put it in like 3 different systems from the first one I originally used. But yeah, my power bill dropped like a good $20-25.
Awesome.
Going from one to the other, which might have meant that my old power supply was terribly inefficient. But
let me take the next one.
Sure.
All right, so William Garcia asks, how do you guys feel about the price of GTA 5 And for what is an older game at this point, I can see where you're going with this. Basically, consoles had it for a while. PCs, if you're really that interested in playing the game, you probably already bought it on console. Myself, holding out for the PC because that's just me.
Yeah, because you never bought it on console. Do you even have any consoles?
I have an Xbox 360.
Okay.
I used to have a PS4. It was my wife's aunt's because we were living with them and that's what we were using
PS4?
too. PS4, yeah.
Oh.
Which was awesome. Or no, PS3. So sorry.
Okay,
what was I
yeah.
saying? We also have a Wii. We never got the Wii U. More on Nintendo stuff later. But yeah, anyway, so the price. How do I feel about the price? It's $60, right? And it's basically an older game. So I think for the PC, we're going to get some value out of it. I think it's worth $60. If it's the type of game you like to play, open world, screw around, have fun, joke around with your friends, I don't know. There's friends of mine that would buy both for the longest time. Buy for their consoles and buy for their PCs. I myself held out because I only wanted to buy it once, and I didn't want to ruin the storyline.
So I'm one of the people who bought it for the console because when it came out for the console, we had copies here, and I played it, and I was like, God, I have to buy it. So I bought it for Xbox 360, and I played through the missions. I didn't do too much of the like wider open world 100% completion stuff. But my thought at the time was like, I'm going to get this now, and then when PC comes out, I'm going to buy it again, and I just resolved myself to it at that time. When I look at something like this and pricing for a video game, I often will justify it to myself by calculating sort of or roughly how many hours I think I'm going to invest in the game. This was how I paid for my WoW subscription back in the day for so long. I'm like, well, yeah, it's $15 a month, but look how many hours I'm dropping into that game I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time. It's probably significant. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought.
How do you feel about the price of the game, being that it's an older game?
I was initially a little bit like, because it is expensive. It's $60. However, I think Rockstar is one of the most popular game producers, developers out there. I'm not saying they're the best or anything. I'm just saying the most popular.
They're definitely won your heart.
Yeah, and so and it's a game that throughout the whole series, like I've recently been playing Vice City again, and throughout the whole series, I've had a lot of fun playing their games. So that gives them a little bit more of a pass in my book. I don't like to do that in a lot of cases, but in certain specific instances, when I just enjoy the game so much, GTA has always been a favorite of mine ever since I first experienced GTA 3 when I was in college, like back in
such a good game.
Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
I don't know when that was. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed. I haven't pre-ordered it.
Okay.
I'm giving up my $1 million of cash that they're offering me by not pre-ordering.
Yeah.
And that's actively because I know I'm going to buy it.
I think that deal's already gone too.
Purely on principle, I am not pre-ordering it because I'm trying not to support that business model as much. So I don't know if Rockstar is listening right now. This is going to have a huge impact on the gaming industry that Paul didn't pre-order.
Paul, I heard you were supposed to have that DICE panel and you didn't show up. They were like, Paul against Rockstar on
that was it.
DLC presale.
I'm blacklisted now. But actually, no, I did have a real answer for this at the beginning. I think even though I'm disappointed, it's been a year and a half. I've seen a lot of updates, and it seems like they are investing more money in the game.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff for the PC version that the other versions don't have, and they've upgraded the textures and stuff. And a lot of that was to do with the next-gen console releases and everything. Right. But it seems like you are still at least getting more than just what you maybe bought a year and a half ago when it first came out. Okay. Enough of that.
Cool. I'm gonna direct this more towards you. Actually, they even did. Paul, what conventions do you hope to attend this year?
Well, I've already went to CES. That was a lot of fun, although I lost my voice. The other one that I'm planning to go to is Computex at this point, because I've had a lot of fun at Computex the past 2 years that I've been able to go over there. It's in Taipei, Taiwan. And it's expensive. So
it is expensive.
So that's the drawback. I mean, you got to pay for a plane ticket and all that good stuff. But I'm trying to line up sponsorship and that sort of thing. Other than that, I don't have anything specifically planned. I was toying with the idea of trying to get over to PAX East because that's another one I've been to the past 3 years now, and have had a lot of fun with it. But it's just lining all that stuff up, like while you're still producing regular videos at the same time and getting sponsorship and all that kind of thing. It's a little too much. So what I decided to do was take my reserves and invest them in the Computex trip because I wanted to get that lined up as opposed to others. But yeah, I'm open to going to other events. I would need to get them sponsored pretty much.
And we have no idea, speaking for Newegg TV, we have no idea when we're going to events. They typically aren't 100% in stone till like the month prior, so we can never even mention.
My MO was always like, once they give me, here's your plane ticket, that's when I know I'm going.
Yeah.
So Steve's probably taking the best route here, which is not promise anything. No. But I'm sure once Steve does get plane tickets for anywhere he might be going, he's going to let you guys know. So follow his Twitter. he'll tweet it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
Should we jump into a story or two?
We've got a few more stories to go through. So thank you guys for all those questions. I'm sorry we weren't able to get to all of them, but some really good ones.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
So moving right along.
This is one of Steve's. Actually, this story came from Jenny.
No. This is one about unpleasant.
Games. Let's do games.
Oh, okay. Well, this is
cool. All right.
Yeah, this is cool.
You've already got up on the screen. It's too late. All right. Yeah. We'll do games after this. So let's try
it's still related to games.
Let's try to move through the net neutrality stuff quick.
Oh, where was I going on that? I accidentally went to special guest.
Don't know.
All right,
Scott Wasson is our special guest today.
That's right.
All right, so quick bit on net neutrality because there's like been good news this week. That's not the net neutrality.
I told you it's next in order right here. Oh, please tell me this is.
Oh, that one. Okay, so this is a little bit more about hardware. All right, this was a random story I dropped in there. I was just going to ask this to you guys, which was, have any of you tried VR yet, whether it be Oculus or any of the other ones that have been recently coming out? And have any of you had issues with it similar to ones I know Steve has experienced? I actually didn't. I did okay. I've tried Steve's Oculus. I played some Team Fortress, and I did okay with it. I won't say I was completely like stable afterwards, but this is just a really quick article on the unpleasant side effects of VR and how that could be a serious detriment to more widespread adoption. So I just wanted to read, if you can scroll down a little bit.
Video playing. I'm trying to.
There's a video playing. Just scroll past it. Just scroll past it. It's annoying. Maximum PC, I don't like the videos that play in the middle of your articles, and you can't pause them or anything. They don't do sound unless you scroll. Okay. So side effects, these are the listed side effects for the Gear VR from Samsung. Include seizures, loss of awareness, eye strain, eye or muscle twitching, involuntary movements, altered, blurred, or double vision, or other visual abnormalities, dizziness, disorientation, impaired balance, impaired hand-eye coordination, excessive sweating, increased salivation, nausea, lightheadedness, discomfort or pain in the head or eyes, drowsiness, fatigue, or any symptoms similar to motion sickness. That's a pretty like that's like a pharmaceutical commercial or something for some just barely passed pharmaceutical that they're trying to sell you.
Because I feel like they need to hit all of the bases so that no one spends
this is
$400
a disclaimer, so it's a very broad, so not everyone's going to experience this thing.
Right.
But my question to you guys is, as you get the opportunity to try out these VR devices, since a lot of us who do YouTube content and tech and everything have talked a lot about it, is I'm curious in on your feedback and how that experience is for you. And then the next question, of course, would be, what can they do in the development of the technology to solve that problem? Is it possible?
Yeah, and I think I should preface this with the idea that some people just get motion sick. Myself, I just get motion sick. I've been that way since I was a very young kid, and I always will be like that. It got worse after, I'd say like 25, 26 is when it got really rough for me, and it wasn't that bad. I remember being able to go to Magic Mountain, which is Six Flags out here in the West Coast, and so excited because it's a bunch of rides, jump on the Viper, go down it like 6 times in a row, we're good, let's keep going. Now it's like I get on that, it like rattles my brain a little bit. I'm like, all right, I need 5 minutes. At a minimum 5 minutes, or get in a line for 2 hours. We're good. I'm still a little dizzy. But that's me. So I knew going into it I probably would feel something. But honestly, if I'm sitting in a chair and I'm just looking around a room, the immersiveness of it is awesome, and I don't get nauseous. It's only when I'm moving physically through that environment while I'm looking around, if that happens.
Reviews by Gary says he can't play VR without Dramamine.
I need to try that, by the way. I need to try Meclizine or any of the motion sickness drugs.
Chronofusion's right there with you. He's been fighting vertigo since he was 12. So
Damn.
this is one of those things for VR that I think is like, because testing out these setups that they have, they're pretty impressive what they're able to do, and especially the ones where they've integrated like the ability to put your hands out there and stuff like that. But I think overcoming these basic human interaction things and the effect it has on your balance and that sort of thing is probably going to be the next big hurdle for VR. And I haven't seen a lot of reports from companies like Oculus or that are developing these on like long-term testing or like playing for like say a half an hour or an hour with like a group of people and how long people were able to play. And those are some numbers I'd be very interested to hear.
Half an hour is still for me is like entry
yeah,
level.
Because I feel like if you can't sit and play a game for 2-3 hours, like a lot of PC gamers are used to being able to do, like it's going to seriously hurt the viability of that product. But let's move right along since we have some more topics. So we wanted to talk about net neutrality. Is that what are we down to that net?
Is that where you want me to go next?
Or
I have this lined up next, unless I somehow, some way missed it.
Yes, let's do this one. All right, let's
cool.
do the gaming stuff.
All right, sweet. On to gaming, ladies and gentlemen. So this story is a heartwarming story.
Jenny
from
sent this
Kotaku.
over.
Jenny did send
ready?
this over. You're absolutely right.
Are you ready, Steve?
Am I ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Wait, what are you gonna do something to me? The way you set that up. So Gabe Newell.
Praise Gaben.
Oh, Gaben be praised. Oh, I missed the
You
time.
did it
on
backwards.
that. I did. It's a G this way,
Or
right?
did I do it this?
It's the reverse.
Sorry, we practiced that a bunch of times.
Yeah, we got it down for that. Oh man, that's it.
I also need to apologize and take personal credit for our mispronunciation. If any of you guys don't know what we're talking about, this was a Yoked episode that we did a month or two ago, and Steve and I kind of threw that in there, and it was fun. And somebody took it and posted a GIF of it and put it on Imager or something.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
It was awesome.
But then in the video itself, I watched it back, and we said Gabin for some reason. And I was like, why did I say that? Because I kept saying that, and then Steve just picked it up from me.
Yeah.
And I realized, I think it's from, I had a friend in junior high who we would call Gob. His name was Gabe, but we would just call him Gob every once in a while. Like, that was his little nickname, and I think that's where it came from. So anyway, apologies everyone for that, but on to the story.
You completely took me by surprise with that.
These tangents.
The tangents are what people watch, I hope. I hope that's why you guys are watching. God, it's probably not the articles we choose, but anyways. So Gabe Newell responded to this guy's email. He basically had a problem. He waited about a week after sending an email to support, which myself, I don't know how often you've ever had to contact Steam support. Have you ever?
I never have.
So I've had to a couple times over the years, and one time in particular, it was about resetting my password, and it was before they had the two-stage or whatever it is.
Steam
they
Guard?
had. Yeah, Steam Guard, that's what it is, to protect logins. Bottom line is, it took me like a week to get a response back, and I felt like, all right, well, they're really busy, things happen. It just sucked because I couldn't log in and play my games. So this guy must have had a similar issue, sent out the email, didn't get anything, then decided he would email Gaben himself. And he had heard that he answers fan email, and I'm just going to redo his email. I heard you answer fan email despite your busy schedule. I thought it was just amazing, but I couldn't believe it. So I'd like to put it to the test. Do you think you'll reply? Do you think you'll reply faster than Steam support? I gave them a week head start. Thanks. And by the way, I love all your products. So Gabe responds, "What's your ticket?" At the end of the day, everyone here at Valve is in support. That guy's so awesome. And so he responds, "Oh my God, I can't believe you actually responded." And he just told him how grateful he was, gave him his ticket number, and then literally within 2 hours, staff responded back again.
Better.
Well, I mean, it's a week anyway, so there was probably a week in 2 hours, and then they were, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's absolutely because Gabe jumped in.
I feel like if you had an email in your inbox from Gaben, it would be like, imagine? You know, in Google, in like Gmail, you got all those, it would be there with like, you know, it would have like a gold foil trim around the outside, and it'd be like glowing.
And a seal.
Whatever.
Some kind of a seal of his face.
And then when you opened it, there'd be like that picture of him with the whatever, and he'd nod, and then the thing.
And the spinning.
And then it wouldn't be an email. It wouldn't be an email. It would just be a video that popped up, being like, "Hello, I'm Gabe." Like, I don't know.
I would love it.
Let's take this further. Let's keep going with it. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. If you think of something else, jump right in. So
video of opening an email from Gabe.
yeah, I would love that. So the guy took to Reddit, took to Imager and everything else in order to share this on social. And actually, before he did that, I should say this: he did not want Gaben to be flooded with stuff from everybody else saying, "Oh, well, I've contacted support and I haven't gotten back, so I'm just going to go straight to the man himself."
It's like one of my favorite things about this story.
Right? It's so cool. So the guy asks him pretty much, "Can I post this on social media?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And once again, like I said, we're all social media. We're all support here at Valve, and just awesome.
Yeah. That's the right thing to do, by the way,
Yeah.
guys. If you have an interaction with somebody like this, you talk to somebody famous or whatever. That doesn't include us, by the way. I'm not including us.
No, we're not.
Because
we don't think we're famous is why I'm saying that.
Getting the little approval to share something or an experience you've had like that is the right way to go about it, and I think most of the time people will say yes.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
so that's a cool story from the gaming side. Let's talk about this Nintendo thing. Can we talk about the Nintendo thing?
Absolutely, we can talk about the Nintendo thing.
All right, I follow Boogie92888.
Boogie.
I follow Boogie and Total Biscuit on
Cool.
Twitter. So they've been ranting a bit about this week. So
All right.
let's give. So basically, right now, I'm gonna say this, and then you're gonna tell me if you think I'm right or not.
Okay.
So right now, if you want to do a gameplay video and post it on YouTube, and you want to include a Nintendo game, Nintendo will flag that with a copyright violation.
YouTube will flag it, but yeah, I see
YouTube
where
will
you're
flag
going.
it.
Yeah.
It will be. You can keep it up on your channel, but basically any ad revenue, anything like that, is going to go to Nintendo for that,
Right.
because they flag it for copyright, and they're saying this content is ours, and
Right.
therefore we deserve the money for it.
And apparently that's a YouTube policy.
That is a YouTube policy for flagged copywritten content, but Nintendo is actively pursuing the people who are streaming their video games, who are effectively promoting their video games, and flagging their videos for one, but then also like they seem to have this really wrong-headed policy when it comes to people sharing things online and people creating derivative works from their content, which is that they don't want it to happen, or they want the money from it, which doesn't seem really right to me at all. So the parallel I was drawing here is like, what do? We do videos on motherboards and graphics cards and stuff like that. Imagine if a hardware manufacturer took this stance. Granted, it's a little bit more of a stretch, but what if a hardware manufacturer were to say, "Hey, like
I like this question.
Asus. We have this Asus ROG motherboard, and it's awesome, and we're showing you guys a video of it and everything." What if Asus called us and said, "Hey, that's our motherboard. We made that. We own the license and the rights to that. Therefore, you can't do that on it." Again, this is just a hypothetical, and it's a bit of a stretch, but that's kind of what came to my mind, because I look at what the content that we make here and that I make on my channel, and it's like it's more hardware based. I've dabbled.
You're expanding this to YouTube, obviously.
Yeah, but
because we'd probably be garnered with the permission to do it because Newegg. But I see what you're saying with it, because it's the same idea, right? Like Twitch, I'm sure inclusive. Nintendo's like, I have this, I made this, this is my IP. You can't use it in any way, shape, or form and make money off of it. You can talk about it, that's fine with us. It's totally awesome. In fact, we want you to do that, but you're not making money off of us. So if hardware were to come at us and say that exact same thing, is that what you're basically...
That's kind of the parallel I'm drawing here, is the creators of the thing that you're showing in that video come and say, hey, we made that, and you can't use that to draw views to your video without our permission or without giving us a cut of your ad money or something like that.
Well, I would say that hardware manufacturers obviously found value in it, and therefore they're running with it, when Nintendo is like the opposite, and they're thinking somehow that's going to push sales. And if other electronics related, and I'm calling gaming electronics because it's video gaming, are trying to say that's going to be somehow different. This is why I think Nintendo's not doing so hot. I mean, it's also the console. It's also that they created. It's also some of the games. Nothing's really been that great except for maybe Smash Brothers. But I mean, and Mario Kart. I like that game too. But anyways, my point being that there are some reasons why Nintendo are not getting more success. I don't
But
think
they-
doing this. I think this will help because they're actually starting to share revenue. That's the whole point of the story, guys. We didn't actually get to that point because Paul had a couple of really cool ideas to throw in there, which I appreciate. And adding in hardware to the mix is.
That's the whole thing. So
Yeah.
so Nintendo has been dealing with this because they've been
Right.
dealing with flack from it, and obviously
Right.
people who stream or want to play their games or that sort of thing have been coming back and saying, hey, look, like we're showing your games. People who might not have known of your game before might have seen it because of the content we're creating
Right.
and all these views and stuff, which I feel like most companies would say we're okay with. So Nintendo's response to this is they've set up this YouTube revenue sharing program, but it's so like they have a website you can set up where you can go and register, and it's like you have to.
It's very restrictive.
You have to submit each video, so it's like an extra work that you have to go through.
Right.
And then the policies on the contract for it are just so completely out of line. It seems to me like you're not like if I have this and I'm doing Nintendo games on my channel,
Yeah.
I can't have any other games.
No,
Right?
it's got to be. You can apply. You can put one video up to apply for this revenue sharing program, but if you're going to do your whole channel, it has to be Nintendo. Period.
Yeah.
No competing products.
And
is the way
not
I've
just
understood
Nintendo,
it.
but only Nintendo whitelisted games.
Yes.
Which means they have the ability, if a game comes out and it's not doing well or it's getting bad reviews, then they just don't whitelist it, and then nobody can post any gameplay footage of it.
Yeah, let me just
like
show you some of
apart
those
from,
games.
I'm guessing the reviewers that they would work with directly or something like that.
Just gonna scroll through these.
That doesn't seem right to me at all.
These are the whitelisted ones. Smash Brothers is not in there.
And Smash Brothers is not on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nintendo, to my mind, like I grew up with Nintendo. I've read Nintendo Power, like all this kind of thing. I've not been as involved with them in the past 10 or 15 years, but like I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for Nintendo, but seeing this type of thing gives me a really negative opinion of how they're going about the company, and it also makes me think that the streamers who do video games like Boogie and like Total Biscuit, who are saying, look, let's just not work with this. I think they have the right idea, because the only thing that I think is going to get through to them when it comes to this is people just saying like, okay, you don't want us to stream your games, that's fine. We're just not going to deal with Nintendo products or Nintendo games anymore.
Yeah.
And hopefully that might get some kind of message across, because
Definitely not in there.
it doesn't work this way with anybody else. There's no other game company that will come and flag your video and say, no, we get the money from your video that you made.
Honestly, if they were super successful already, I think that maybe this decision would make more sense to me. I mean, it's almost like Nintendo's saying, let's share some of the money and we'll do this special thing and it'll be okay, everybody will be happy. But then it's kind of not really done right, or it's not done well, or maybe the developer involved doesn't want to share. I really don't know. But it just sounds like Nintendo is scared, they're nervous, they're not really doing so hot, and they just want to take everything really slowly.
Yeah, but I think this tact on this on people streaming and everything goes the other direction. I think they need, like, if they were open, it's just like, hey, everyone, play our games, have fun with our games, make videos of you having fun with our games and show them to other people. Like, that's good for sales. This type of thing, this attitude towards the people who are actually giving more views and more exposure to Nintendo, it's not right to me at all. So
and to add insult to injury, they initially said that it was going to take about 3 days for approval time, and right now it's taking a lot longer than that.
Oh yeah.
So
that's another thing, is like if I do a daily stream.
Oh yeah.
Like now I gotta wait 3 days like before I can post that video. Like,
well, it's not like they have brand new games on there that you're really pushing to get them out, but
they have a portfolio of very good games. It's a small number, but they have a portfolio of really good titles and really good IPs, like the whole Mario series and Zelda and Smash Brothers and all those that, you know, it's not a ton of games, but they have that set where, like, I mean, my old roommate growing up, or not growing up, but in college and thereafter, like, he would buy the new Nintendo console just to play the Zelda game every time it came out, and he would have maybe 1 or 2 other games besides that. But
my wife's aunt's the same way. She just loves that series, and she'll buy a new Nintendo console every time, and she'll get it down, man. She's really good at it. It's crazy. Anyways, she's
awesome.
she's older gamer, and she's been doing it for a long time. In fact, she's a retired detective, which is even funnier. Like, she's a total professional.
Wow.
And yeah, so she's not like a geek by any means. But on the flip side of that, she's a little geeky in terms of her technical know-how and gaming. So kind
Nice.
of cool. Yeah.
More power to her.
Yes.
All right. We had a bit of net neutrality, but we're kind of running out of time now. So if I can eggshell it, nutshell. I didn't mean to make that egg pun.
Egg puns.
I don't actively make egg puns if I can avoid it.
Not intentionally.
All right, so some stuff on net neutrality came out this week. Tom Wheeler, who we all thought was going to go the other way because he was a former lobbyist, has actually come out with a proposal that's very positive in a lot of our eyes who have been watching this more closely. They've proposed classifying broadband service, whether it's wireless or wired, under Title II classification from the Telecommunications Act of, I think, 96. Oh, no, that's an older one. But from our perspective, a lot of us have talked about this, and I think if you're watching this show, you're probably in line with our view on this one, which is that that's a very good thing. This is going to prevent them from prioritizing certain websites or certain traffic and making some sites slower and sometimes faster.
Right.
They'll have to treat everything equally as data that goes from point A to point B. There's still vagaries to this, and there's still some little details. Actually, what I will direct you, if you guys want more information on this, although I haven't watched it, the tech just came out over on Tech Syndicate, and they discussed these a lot, and they have some really good discussion on this. And I know I already stole a couple of these articles from them because I saw it posting earlier, but I'm sure they've talked at length about this, and I'm going to watch this soon.
Me too.
And I really like their discussion on it because they get into some of the finer points that you might not get just from kind of the general articles on it. But I was very happy. It seems like you don't get a lot of good news when it comes to stuff like this. But yeah, it seems good, and we're still going to keep our eye on it. But that was it. Oh, and then could you click on that last article? This was just the one that I found.
This one right here.
So anytime somebody comes, if you talk to anyone about net neutrality, because what I've been doing is I've been going up to people and saying, do you understand net neutrality? I did this with my sister.
This one.
No, the other one, about the 24 billion or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just said, do you understand this? Do you know what's going on? Which side of it are you on? Because I think there's so much confusion about it still. But anytime somebody comes and tries to pitch you like a anti-net neutrality thing, which I was going over some stuff that some stupid website was posting earlier. There's a stupid Twitter account. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, right. I did see you.
CTIA.
Right.
They made these ads that are just awful. The stupid thing about these ads is they're supposedly like talking to people on the street.
Hey, let's do it real quick. Hey, what do you know about net neutrality, sir?
Net neutrality is bad, and everyone should give more money to their internet service providers. They're good companies.
I think that's a really good idea, sir, because they really run the entire world. Ketchup, when you dip your fries in it, that actually comes from the same companies.
I agree with you. Oh, thank you, internet service.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then, anyways, that's what they're like.
So yeah, anytime somebody tries to come at you and argue an anti-net neutrality thing, show them this article because this is this is just a bit of speculation as far as what the internet service providers, stand to lose. Although what they should be saying is what we stand to save by having actual. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's towards the end of the show.
Brain shutting down.
Competitive, by creating a competitive environment for ISPs where you actually have more than one choice for what internet service provider. It's not just Comcast or Time Warner or whatever. And it's to the tune of 24 billion.
Yeah.
$24 billion a year. So if you're wondering why you're seeing propaganda ads created by ISPs that say, no, net neutrality's bad, your bill's gonna go up, you're gonna have to pay more money now.
Yeah.
That's not us paying more money, that's them. Or
Yeah.
that's them losing money because we will be able to pay less money because there will be competition. That's how.
They're also arguing too that for some reason, because that money's not there, they won't be able to invest in infrastructure. That as Wendell from Tech Syndicate points out, just about every time they bring it up, that they had already been given money from the government to do exactly that, but they use it for other things, whatever that is, or maybe they use it to subsidize some of that they. I don't know. My point is just Google's chugging along, albeit Google's an amazing company. And they're not trying to gouge people. And
Stay amazing, Google.
Yeah.
Don't turn evil.
Creating their own switches, they're amazing too, to help this process along. But bottom line is, I really just hope that Google just lays lays down networking everywhere, and we just use.
Well, just to clarify about Google, since we talk about them sometimes, this is another thing from the tech from last week. It's a good show. But what they were discussing is not that Google is necessarily a good company inherently, but Google works in such a way that they align their needs with the needs of the customers, so that something that's good for a customer will also benefit Google. So Google is going to benefit from net neutrality. That's true, but it benefits everyone else as well, so we can kind of go along with it. And it's nice to have somebody like Google on your side.
I just hope that they're not going to somehow turn this into the reason why they need to put data caps on, because all of a sudden now, if something's considered if internet's considered
no, that's the argument that they're making. They're going to say, oh, well, now we have to charge you more money, but guess what? Now you're going to have an option. We're over. I'm sorry.
I know.
So we're going to wrap up the show now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching and all that good stuff. We're going to have more content next week. We'll have a yoked episode on Wednesday. We'll have another Alt+Tab on Friday.
Yes.
And Steve is going to sing the traditional end of the show song.
This is the time of our lives where we sing.
I didn't think that was going to work.